This tutorial was brought to you thanks to the supporters on the screen. Check out TAPgiles.com to find more Dreams resources, donate to support my work, or engage my services to get private instruction or help on a project one-on-one. Now I'm going to have a look at the new gadgets that came with VR, which is the head or camera tracker and the hand or imp tracker. So let's go for the head tracker first. So what does this do? Well, if we go into play mode and move around, and then go into edit mode again, and then, that head tracker moves with your head, which makes sense. Like, it follows the camera, or if you're in VR, then it follows wherever your head is, kind of thing. But what use is it? Well, it's actually like a special kind of group. So if we make a sculpt, we can actually scope it in, and now we're inside this group. While you're scoped in to the that tracker group, you can hide everything else on, and then you won't see anything else, just like a normal group. You can also click on look through head, so then you can like adjust things. Like if this is a piece of UI, an icon or something, you can adjust it to look just right from this angle, like that or something. And now when you play, then it's kind of locked to that angle because it's in this group. You can also tweak this setting, the multiply scale setting. So at the moment, this object is at this position at that size, and it's 100% of that position and size. If you lower it, you won't see it here, but if we go into play mode, you can actually see it's scaled it down to 28% of that position and size, so it gets closer to the position the player is at, and you could go down to 1%, and it's really tiny and really close to the camera, and you can barely even see it. And why would you want to do that? So objects like this, if you go towards the ground or something, sculpts actually behave as if they're movable but sort of teleported to this position. So if I try to go through something, they'll kind of collide with it and stuff. So you might want to scope in here. You might want to turn off collidable for if that's some UI element, and now it will just go through, but you probably don't want it to go through even then. What you really want is for it to be so close to the camera that the camera will go through the sculpt at the same time as this object. So that's when you'd use this. So you could turn it down to 1%, and now I can go and get really close to the sculpt, and my camera goes through the sculpt at about the same time as this object. So that's a really useful setting. If I set it to 200%, it will just be massive. So if I made that smaller and closer and put that to 200%, then it's double the size and further away. There are other settings like movable when not following. So by default it has this follow player's head input. So while it's following someone's head, by default that's just on. So if we wire a switch into it and turn it off, then now it's not following the player's head, and you saw it fall through the scene. That's because I turned this on. So if we turn that off, now we can see that object, but it's not following. So what we could do is wire this up to a controller sensor. I'll put it onto remote control mode, and while I'm pressing X, it should stick to the head. So hold X, and now it's stuck to the head, and I can move around, let go of X, and now it's just staying there. But if you have movable when not following, then it's falling through the thing. So I hold X, and if I let go, then it's going to start moving physically, and it goes through the scene because this is no longer collidable. Let's just make it a brighter color so I can see it. So it fell to the ground, hold X, and now it's in front of us, let go, and it's fallen to the ground again. So that's pretty cool. and you can make it visible or invisible. This works the same as with a normal group. So if I make a painting, I'll also add a text box. So now all that stuff is stuck to my head, or stuck to the camera. If you turn off visibility, now the text still shows because that doesn't have a visibility option on it. It just has opacity for the different parts of it. But the sculpt and the painting that are around there are they do have that setting, so that kind of inherits it from the group or the tracker, and that works the same in groups. Now I'll show you follow head in VR, and for that I'm going to have to put on the VR headset. So right now I'm looking around and it's not following, this stuff isn't following my head movement and stuff. But if I turn on follow head in VR, then it does, and as I move it all follows perfectly. So what does this do when it's off? It actually uses the kind of camera's current position. So if I like move forwards or move around, then it does follow, but my head is independent of the actual camera view, the game view. So if I used a timeline and added some cameras, so if we try that now, then this stuff is always in front of kind of the camera that we're currently in, but I can still move around, move my head around and stuff. If that's on, let's try that again. So now it's stuck to my head, and my base kind of angle is defined by the camera. So we can think of this as two kind of modes of the way it works. This is off, so when I'm in play mode, I can now kind of look around the window, and the window is like it's in 3D space within the world in front of me. Whereas if I change that round, then it's like I'm inside the helmet and I'm wearing the objects in that tracker. And you can use both of these together in different trackers. So make a new tracker. Both of them will follow in different ways. So now I have this window in front of me, but I also have this helmet on my head. So you might have like HUD elements stuck to your head, and this might be like the cockpit of the game or something like that. But you can see that when you're not in VR, it's all just stuck to the camera because there is no separate head that can move around the headset. But it's just all stuck to the normal camera. Thanks for watching. I hope you learned something new. Go to patreon.com/TAPgiles to get 5 hours of tutorials early for $3. Here's a preview of what you can learn if you choose to become a supporter.